Huh?
How do you want me to get you the questions on the notepad?
I have a box right here. Want to collect? I'll get you to collect them. Let me make the introduction. I'll have you collect them. Okay. I'm gonna stand up here because we're videotaping. And could you check if I'm in the window of the? I had a request for videotape, so you can.
You're good.
It pans too, the arm.
Yeah. You're fine.
I had a request for videotape, so I brought my video camera. So we're going to start the mayor's Q&A session in just a minute. But what we're going to do is I will ask a volunteer, Brian, to collect any note cards or questions in this box. And those would be like the first ones we'll start with. As questions. We will take questions for the floor if there's time, but I'm going to start with picking them out of the box. So, we got the air handling system that's a little noisy. I just want to be able to refer to the handouts if need be. So,
You want to take the live ones first?
Yeah, I can take the live ones first. So, I put a few handouts out for everybody. My name is CoryAnn St. I'm the mayor of the city of St. Francis, been the mayor since 2012. I was asked to run for mayor in 2012 by citizens because they were interested in a mayor who would not be someone who was a business as usual status quo type of person. So I looked into it. I took up the challenge to do it. I didn't even start putting out my nomination papers till December 16th, and they were due like on January 2nd. Because I had to look into everything. That's the kind of person I am. I ask a lot of questions. I do my research. But I think they asked me to run because I have 18 years of government experience. I worked for the Village of Menominee Falls and the City of Kenosha. Then after I left government employment, I ran the Kenosha Area Chamber of Commerce for almost 5 years, a membership group of 700 business members in a county of about 350,000 people. So, came back to St. Francis, where I grew up, on the South Shore. Been proud to be mayor. Enjoyed all the people I meet. The best part about being mayor is getting to talk to the people. And I've had open houses and meetings and connection events. There's so many opportunities to public speak. And you have to be willing to public speak. And you have to be willing to talk in front of the public, ask the hard questions, to be the mayor of any city or a village president. I routinely meet with the mayors, the village presidents, whether it be the mayor of Milwaukee, whether it be the county executive. There's not a moment they don't have to get up and speak to the public. And so I think it was very important to me. This was scheduled. I thank you for your attendance. This was scheduled rather quickly, but there's nothing like getting up and being able to be a mayor who can speak in front of the public. I think I've said that enough. So, you have to do it. It's part of the job. Okay? So, and there's going to be people that don't agree with you in public. And you have to know how to handle it. You have to. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This is the third city I've worked in. Enough said. So, I would like to take questions, and I feel like I'm kind of screaming because that air handling system. I'm sorry. We like it though. I'm not going to shut it off because we know it can get too stuffy. But sometimes at these open house meetings, I have everyone go around and introduce themselves. But here's what I'm going to do at this meeting. I don't want to. It's a Sunday afternoon. People have busy schedules. I don't want to take too much of your time. But if you feel you want everyone to go around and introduce themselves, why don't we do a show of hands and see what does everyone feel about introducing themselves? Oh, okay, that got next. All right, we're not doing that. Okay, I'm going to take the live questions first. anything's on the table. This is an open Q&A session with me, the mayor. Obviously, everybody knows, what we've got on the table here. There was some petitioners who went out and got some recall signatures. They got certified by the clerk. I'm challenging it because I did my research into the state statute, did my own research, went to an attorney agreed with me, an attorney is filing a challenge, but the legal process is very tenuous and it's not quite through the process yet. So we have an election scheduled on March 13th. Early voting is happening right now till March 9th, early in-person voting at the Civic Center. So, any questions on the table? I've enjoyed being your mayor. I love St. Francis, just like you do.
All right.
Okay, who wants to start? Dawn.
Now, you said that you have some things in the process that have to take time, so forth and so on. This election is supposed to take place March 13th.
Great.
But then it turns out whatever you have in the process comes back in your favor. What happens if it's after the election?
Dawn, that is a really good question. According to my attorney, it could invalidate the election. So we would have an invalid election if it really came to my favor. So, obviously, when all this came up, there were citizens telling me, I don't believe they did this right, I don't believe they did that right. So I go to the election board website, I find the election guide, I read it, I extrapolate everything myself. That's the kind of person I do even in daily mayoral life. And I said, wow, this isn't making sense. I'm going to ask an attorney about it. And I asked the attorney, and he said, yeah, I think you have a good case here. So I went forward on it because I found it myself, and I felt strong about it, very passionate about it. So, Dawn, at this point, we hope we get a ruling from the election board this week, and then we go from there. So, it's one of those things that I go day to day, and I just do the best I can, and prepare for an election, even though I'm very passionate about my beliefs as far as, and consulting with the attorneys as far as the challenge is concerned. So. Anything else?
I'll throw it out there.
Mm-hmm.
What are you challenging?
Oh, what am I challenging? According to the statute, the reason for the recall should be clearly stated, and it should have to be associated with the statutory duties of the mayor. The statutory duties are that you're the CEO of the city. You are to be the one who oversees that the employees and the officers of the city follow the ordinances and the state statute and deploy their duties. That's what the big, broad determination of a mayor's responsibilities are. There's more to it, but it's very broad. So it was supposed to be associated with those duties, and all it said on the petition was unprofessional behavior. So there was no duty stated, and there was no action associated with the duty that was portrayed to all the people. It was the only thing written on there. And it does say in the statute, you are supposed to clearly write what is the reason for the recall on every petition sheet. Clearly and specifically. And unprofessional behavior wasn't very clear and specific. Because the statute says the mayor's the CEO, he's not the head professional. So it's one of those legal things, but thanks for answering the question. So, yes?
Okay, mine kind of ties in with the unprofessional behavior. According to, like you said, the documents that were submitted, the recall is because of unprofessional behavior. Can you address those claims or maybe explain a little bit more on your side and how you plan on
unprofessional behavior. It was a misunderstanding that those who had the misunderstanding just didn't come and talk to me about it and ask me what was going on. It had to do with a council meeting where there was a resident who had yelled out for the third time at me while I was running the meeting. And I said to her, I said, please, if you burst out again, we're going to have to eject you from the meeting. And apparently, a new person who came to the meeting, who I'd never met before, I've never talked to her, never heard from her, never seen her in the community, said I was being unprofessional by saying, please, after the third time. And I wish I could have met with her because I would have showed her the statute that said, as the presiding officer, you need to keep order in the meeting. No one is allowed to speak from the gallery. You guys have seen movies about Congress and no one's allowed to speak out from the gallery. You have to be quiet, like court. Who's going to court? You cannot speak out at court. The council meeting is like court. It's supposed to be orderly. So I tried not to take it personal. I was hoping they would reach out and talk to me because I feel collaboration is number one. Talk to each other. Get your political disagreements out. Figure out how we're going to solve it. I have done this time and time again with the council members because the council and the mayor are never biggest fans of each other because they're two separate branches of government. Council, mayor, two separate branches. And sometimes they disagree. So it's always this chess game of disagreement. So we always have to get through our disagreements with any kind of mediation or collaboration. And since 2012, we've done that. And we've had some pretty nasty disagreement, public disagreement. But we're getting the work of the city done, and that's what's number one. Get the work of the city. The city's not stopping, it's moving, we're getting the work done. We stop, we get through our disagreements, we say a couple of words we might regret, but we get the work of the city done for the citizens and the common good. That's what we got, that's what we need to do. So.
How do you plan on reuniting and unifying the city after the election?
I think she asked me how would I reunite and unify the city. At this point, the citizens, it's not the council or the mayor who unifies the city. It's the people of St. Francis are the city. They're the ones that where their heart remains. We're the ones that have pride in our city. And I think do anything possible to rally the members of the community, to let them know our city is okay, it's functioning as it should. It's a great city with great potential. So much is going on. And work is being, the good work of the city is being done. And I could do that through open houses and more public events and meetings. And we could be absolutely more open and with open promotion of it. We could do an awareness campaign where we just talk about our positivity for the future. And that's what I would like to do. I've already started that kind of theme going, shining a light on our positive future. We could take that to the next level and just move forward with an awareness campaign. So, yeah. It's possible. There's Dawn again.
I'm just following today. In a lot of ways.
Maybe I should have them turn that.
Yeah, I was just going to say things. I don't get to a lot of time with council. If you watch TV, when they are there.
Right.
I have a question involving a letter that the alderwoman was asked to read
Yes.
and turned into,
Yeah. So Dawn's question is about the letter that was asked to be read by Alderwoman
My
Shandell.
question is, the Aldermen were really upset that they didn't receive the letter or a copy of the letter except for minutes before it was supposed to be read. Now, if the lawyer gave the options to the alderwoman, three options, did he read this letter beforehand?
My understanding is that he did not.
Then how could he give the three options?
That was the city administrator that came up with the 3 options for her. Without reading the letter.
There, and I felt sorry for watching the video.
I wasn't involved in Alderwoman Shandel's request, so I was equally confused on the issue. And the other thing we have happening right now is the aldermen are not allowed to talk to the city attorney. It's frowned upon for the alderman to go directly to the city attorney because he's an expensive city attorney. And a few of the aldermen said, oh, it's costing us too much, so we better just go through the administrator. And that's why Alderwoman Shandel went to the administrator and not to the attorney. But I think if she would have went right to the attorney, it wouldn't have been such a conundrum. You know, it would have gotten sorted out earlier. But I've been a proponent of putting out quotes for new attorneys. We've had this attorney now since a year before I was mayor. So we've had this attorney without a contract, just charging us hourly rates since 2011. Just no review of his grades, no review of his performance, nothing since 2011. Every year I bring it up. We need to get quotes for a new attorney. I find out South Milwaukee got quotes for a new attorney. You don't even want to know what they pay an hour for theirs. How about $95? When we pay $250. So South Milwaukee apparently must have different problems we do. And I've been pushing and pushing, and the council just puts it off, puts it in the trash can. I'm
What
like,
is their reason not to shout out at you?
I don't even know what the reason is. I can't figure it out, except that the attorney is performing the way they would want him to perform. And maybe another attorney would not perform to their liking, or basically conform to what they would like. That's all I can think of. I don't want the attorney to conform. I want him to be the most independent person I can think of. There's other people that have different attitudes on that. So, my attitude is save money and get an attorney who's just as good as our surrounding communities. By the way, Mequon only pays $90 to $100 an hour too. I think Mequon has, they know something in Mequon. So, all right, yeah, anything else? Yes, Amanda.
Okay, I guess going off of this topic, this kind of came to mind. Is there any plans after the spring election to maybe just have, I don't know whether it's open or closed meeting, but just all the new alder people that will be sitting up there, do some kind of basic training or basic, it seems like there always seems to be a lot of confusion on what should be going on and what can be talked about and what not, and I think that would maybe settle a lot of things.
Yes.
That seem to be bickering back and forth, and just my personal opinion that comes off as unprofessional because everybody has their own opinion and no one really seems to know what the right answer is just on the process alone.
So I think the training would be an amazing idea. It's a great tool. There are people out there that do it, that are perfectly willing, like former mayors, former administrators that work for certain cities. That would be an amazing suggestion. I think that is exactly what we need to do is, for instance, with the new people, go through a mock city council meeting, understand how things go, because I think what Amanda's trying to say is, I think she's trying to say, Mayor, we need to streamline these meetings. Everyone needs to be on the same page on these meetings, and how can we do that? And it's a really good suggestion. And that's why we have citizens making suggestions, because, you know, it's a good thing for the council to listen to something like that. It's a good suggestion. I would obviously go forward with that, any way, shape, or form. And Amanda, I really think on that training, if I had to get a volunteer to do it for us, I would find somebody so we don't expend city funds. I would seek someone out, you know, and get somebody to volunteer. So, yeah. So, next question. I can go in the box. Let's go in the box. Oh, I'm so glad that area handling was turned down. I know it's a little hot in here, but I was speaking. I was going to get it was Howard making me hoarse. Did everyone hear, though, Amanda's question was about, you know, the council being all on the same page during the meeting so we could get to business? I hope. Yeah. Okay, here's a question that I believe came from Facebook. Honestly, and as a voting citizen, I think a great question that should be answered by Ken is, how will it be any different when you are in office than the current mayor? The answer shouldn't be so someone gets along or a smoother working relationship with the council and staff members, because it's hard to get the right business done when everybody gets along. Okay, so I think it was posed to Ken. I'll be happy to answer it. I think, you know, business is outlined by our ordinances. Our ordinance pretty much rules how we operate. So I think this question really kind of segues from Amanda's earlier question. It's all about what we can do to get on the same page and train each other and work together for a smoothing working relationship during the meetings. And I think number one we should do is the training. But now I think this person is also saying, what about the smoother relationship outside of the meeting, right? Like, what's that all about? Everyone would really be surprised that the council and myself talk a lot outside of the meetings. We do. And we might talk and disagree, but we talk and we get things out with each other, because otherwise we wouldn't be able to get anything done. We don't just come to the council meeting and here we are. So I do talk to the council members. I reach out to them. I call them. I have good conversations with them. Some of the time, though, certain council members in the last 6 months to a year, for certain reasons, say one thing to me on the phone and then do another at the council meeting. It's very frustrating for a mayor. So no matter who's mayor, I'm just going to say to this group openly and honestly, no matter who is mayor, if council members cannot trust someone that they've talked to earlier in the day to stand by what they've said earlier in the day, no council is going to be able to work together. I don't care who it is. So you can't say one thing on a phone call the day before and do another on the council dais. It's not going to work for any council in any city, not just St. Francis. So that's what I have to say about that question. The other question that's on the same sheet is, what have you learned from the recall process? What will be different if you continue? And what will you change as mayor if you win the special election? I think what I've really learned from the recall process is that I need to reach out to more people than I thought. I need to let them know how I stand on things, what kind of a person I really am, my passion for the city, how I love St. Francis, why I decided to be mayor. I think I need to talk to more people. I think I'm misunderstood sometimes, and I really need to rectify that. I think what we talked about earlier, the need for our positive type of campaign. You might say, oh, is that over the top, Mayor? No, it's not over the top. Positivity is always good in any fashion. So I am willing to go to the nth degree with any kind of a positive, shining a light on our future, being positive. Because then we will all together be able to unify our thoughts on making St. Francis a better place. That's what we all should be focused on. Every single one of us, every employee, every citizen, we should be smiling at each other, and we should just say, we are out to make St. Francis a better place every day. Because we all love it here. Who's going to raise their hand and say we don't love it here? We all do. So that's what it should always be about. And that's what I would be about. And you'll say, Mayor, you said you were going to walk on the street and smile at everybody. Okay, I will. I'll do it. Every single person, every dog, if they're on a leash. Don't get me started with the leash law. We need to keep our dogs on the leash. It's very dangerous when dogs are running around. We took care of that a couple years ago. So, all right, let's take another one.
So if it's not obvious from the Facebook, then the question's at the bottom.
Oh. I would also like to know how you are going to bring accountability to the barrel company. When you and the aldermen have had all the power to make it happen, yet nothing has been achieved. What can you do as mayor? What can the alderpersons do? Well, it's a complicated process, but something does have to be done, because obviously the citizens are concerned about it. And you know, when people talk to me about this, and a couple of the older folks have literally came up to me, like when I was at bingo last week, and they said, Mayor, that barrel company's been there forever. And I'm thinking, yes, it's been there forever. However, people have a right to change their mind about something that's been there forever and want to address the issue. I respect that 100%. I'm on board 100%. I met with Gwen Moore yesterday, and I said to Gwen's staff, I need this from the EPA, I need this from the EPA. And I need those answers so I can talk to the public. Now, one of the answers was, what are we going to do for continuous monitoring of that to ensure that we are not getting, you know, anything that's hazardous to our community? But also the other question I asked was, we have the barrel company saying we are doing everything we can to put in a new RTO. And the RTO is a air purifier of sorts. And they're spending millions of dollars on this, but we don't have the specifications yet. So I asked Glenn Moore, I said, can you get me what the EPA feels about RTOs? I don't have a statement from the EPA. What does an RTO mean for a community? What are the benefits? How does it operate? Because if I'm not going to go up to citizens and say, here, read this about the RTO that the Mid-America, this brochure Mid-America Barrel gave me. They're going to say, oh, well, that came from the barrel company. I want to be able to have something from the EPA that says, hey, if they put this RTO in, we are making significant inroads toward our goals with this barrel company. So I want to be able to say that, but I want the information from the EPA. So Gwen Moore said she would help me to get that information. Now I think we have to take it step by step, but concurrently the council is also talking about other potential steps we can take with the barrel company and compliance issues and all the surrounding issues that we can control with our city ordinances. So we are addressing that concurrently, but I'm asking my own questions. So I hope you feel I'm being proactive in asking my own questions when I get the Congresswoman's time, which is very hard to get, by the way. And the alderpersons are working as a group in their own way. So they're on it. They're on it too. So, another question. Ken Tutai, can you please share some specifics on how you would reduce taxes? I'll just let Ken answer that. It's for him.
Well, I think they want both sides to answer.
Okay, I'm kidding. Reducing taxes is a difficult question. There's a lot to it. Ed, did you want to chime in on that one?
No, I just want to ask you a different question.
Yeah, okay, so reducing taxes is very difficult. On my one sheet that I gave you my reports, my mayor's reports, look on the back, everyone, and there is the summary of our budget. Oh, I don't think I took one. It says mayor's report on the front. Go on the back, and there's a summary, okay, of the budget. Did everyone see it yet? All right, so you're all looking at it. This is it, $10 million. Okay. What is the majority of our budget right now? Public safety, right? Public safety and protection. What is it, 5 million something? Who's got it in front of them?
5.5.
Where's our accountants in the group? It's,
5.5 for public protection.
okay, Rack says, okay, 5.5. Okay, everybody. So we got 5.5 in public protection. What is our biggest asset in St. Francis? Public protection. It's our life's blood here. Because when I talk to new residents of this city, as mayor, I'm gonna tell you honestly, public protection comes out of my mouth every single time. We are safe here. We are safe. That is so important to people in this climate right now of unrest and all the crime. We just had a murder in Cudahy. How can I, as mayor, tell you today that I want to lower taxes? That would mean lowering public protection. I am not going to lower public protection right now. Not with the murder that just happened in Cudahy. I'm just not going to do that. So we have to find other ways, and we can meet, and we can talk about it, and we can find other ways. But I can't make it simple for you today. I can't put it in my brochure, I'm going to lower taxes. After working in government 18 years and being mayor for 6, I would not put that in a brochure. Because you have to have some knowledge to know you should not be putting that in a brochure. It's a lot harder than that. Because to hold firm to that, have at it, baby. It's not what it seems. You're going to have to cut people and services. People and services to get lower taxes. That's a hard thing to do. Yes, sir.
Well, I come from the perspective where I don't work for government, I work in the private sector, and just because you cut cost does not mean you have to cut quality or services for people. Things can be done more efficiently, and I was just wondering, does the city have any initiatives to incentivize its department heads to make things more efficient, to study and analyze and think where's money being wasted, where can it be cut and still not cut out the quality of service that is required from a city government?
That is a really good question. And we need to do that. We need to look at efficiencies. And we did put it in our goals this year. As a council, we worked together, just so everybody knows. Even in the midst of this recall, we put out a statement together of our goals for the year. That is a very good point about efficiency. And you're right, we need to learn from the private sector about certain efficiencies. We put in there that we do want to explore efficiencies throughout the city. Now, I'm not saying that we couldn't become more efficient in our police department and save money, or in our fire department, or in our public works. Yes, we can save money, but here's the issue that comes up. Everything, the cost of doing business keeps going up. So we make things more efficient, we save money, but our cost of doing business went up. So all we're doing is saving money to become even. So every year since I've been mayor, we've been cutting and becoming more efficient to stay even. Because we got expenditure restraint from the state programs, we've got other requirements from the Department of Revenue, and these formulas get more complicated year after year after year. And what is the state doing to us still? Limiting our revenue streams. Hello. We try to get more revenue streams, and what happens? The state's like, no, 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 can't do it. For instance, CoryAnn tried a rental permit. If people were gonna rent their single-family homes out, CoryAnn said, ooh, we're gonna get rental permit for that. The state is pushing back on that right now. They don't want local governments to get that revenue stream. It had a twofold purpose. You basically look at the home, get an opportunity to inspect it, and you get a little fee for it on top of it. But you know, these things, we get the state involved, and as a group of Milwaukee County mayors and village presidents, we do our best to lobby for these things. But sometimes we don't get listened to. So our revenue streams are not necessarily, our opportunities are not necessarily increasing. So we do have to be more efficient. And I think it's an amazing suggestion. And anything that you could bring forward that you're doing in your company on how we look at efficiency, I'd love to hear about it, because it would be great to bring it forward to the council. So, yeah. Yes, sir.
My question is, what's your opinion of consolidating of services, specifically the fire department?
We had a public forum. That is a great question. We had a public forum last February 22nd. And I brought in experts, subject matter experts, to help us with the forum, to talk about it. We talked about our department. We talked about the North Shore model for consolidation. We talked about a study that the Public Policy Forum put together. And we tried to get around all the issues, but it's such a big topic. We only had an hour and a half before the council meeting, and we didn't get to a lot of it. But the way I feel, the way our South Shore departments are going, we have such a collaboration happening already with shared services that are above and beyond MAVIS, which is that program where we all help each other with response. So we have things going above and beyond what we used to. And we are really all working together more than our citizens realize. I talked to the fire chief primarily about Chief Poplar. He's our interim chief right now. He is so knowledgeable. Nick is a wealth of knowledge. He's enthusiastic. He's always wanting to add services. He's doing whatever he can. They work so closely with the joining departments. This year has never been done before. We did Lakeshore Tower fire training together, South Milwaukee, Packard and St. Francis. So we went up in the Lakeshore Towers in Packard and did specific training, to fight that fire together if it ever did get in a blaze. So we have opportunities in the future to economize by working together even more and keeping our identities. I personally feel we would be able to keep our identities and start to become more efficient, save some dollars, have our local department here, and do a new model that's never been done on the South Shore. I think it could happen. I think we should all be optimistic, because I don't know what your particular opinion is in all of this, but I do know citizens do feel that costs can't continue to rise. We have to keep them. We have to keep our costs. Yes.
I worked on that department for 29 years, and we have been through the consolidation process twice, which never worked out, because one side never trusted the other side to move us for doing it. So, yeah, I understand what that's all about. I just wanted to know real quick.
Yeah, the trust is, but have you seen it too that we have more than we used to as far as working together, less territory, less boundaries?
Oh,
Have you noticed that?
That was from Chief Dearborn.
He liked the boundaries, didn't he?
No, He's the one that got that whole biggest thing going.
Oh, cool.
No, it
He
wasn't,
did.
because-
There was a chief I heard that wanted his own boundaries. I can't remember who it was. Bob Pleva told me who it was, now I can't remember, one of the chiefs.
That was New Garden that got this whole
Yes.
thing going.
But does everybody know now that we respond to Milwaukee's fires? It's first available. It's the first one who gets there. We don't have boundaries with Milwaukee anymore. If we can get there faster, we go first. So we're already working together with this shared services model. And I think, like I said, my opinion, we could be more efficient. We could work better together through attrition, through time, and to have our own model of how we do business on the South Shore. And be more efficient, more available than ever before. So, thanks for the question. Yes, Dawn?
The schools. Now, this involves the police and the fire department.
Yeah.
Not that we have had any shootings at our schools, but are we prepared for anything that might happen? Is there
We are doing
training
active
for-
shooter training. I'm very proud to say that Kevin Hunter, our lieutenant, our chief Dietrich, have been very, very proactive with our South Shore tactical team. We have a whole tactical team from South Milwaukee, Cudahy. This is another example. South Milwaukee, Cudahy, and St. Francis, a TAC team that is training on active shooter all the time. They all volunteered for this duty. They all do extra marksmanship training. They all do extra response training. And Terry Kent is here, who helped us raise the money for the UTV, the all-terrain utility terrain vehicle for our police department. Thank you, Terry. And that's another part that can be used for our tactical response. This vehicle can go anywhere. And, you know, I'm proud to say we did not wait for the county to, we felt that the county was not going to have a tactical team that was going to be there for us when we needed it. Now, I'm not trying to bash the county sheriff. And that's why, to my understanding, that's why we started the tactical team. We were a little concerned that Milwaukee County wasn't going to be there when we needed them, because they have a tactical team. And I know Ruth's the police officer, she's here, I'll put her on the spot. I don't know much about Milwaukee County and their tactical team. We have our own now, so you're sitting.
Although one thing you may consider that we did for active shooter training, we've been having it for years since Columbine. But we actually took the fire department 1 year in our service, in our fire protection service. And because the state mandate, both fire we trained together with the fire department going into a school that had to shoot things down. We did the diamond formation around firefighters, so they were there, they'd be able to attend to any critical needs right there, trying to hit or whatever.
Okay.
And they moved on with throwing patients out with that involvement. So it was a joint training that was very beneficial for both fire and police to know each other. And the trust teams too, that inspired, had the trust that our tactical teams and our diamond formation were there to protect them
Okay.
as they were going.
I'm going to look into that, but I pretty much feel that probably our police and fire are kind of on the same page too. Probably have done some co-training. I'm not aware, it's not on the top of my head right now, that information. But yeah, so Ruth was saying, for everyone that may not have heard her, that the fire and police in Milwaukee are working together on active shooter training. We also probably should have some active shooter training at the Civic Center for our employees. I'm hearing a lot more employees are doing active shooter training at their work environments. Does anyone at their work environments do it at all? You've done it at yours?
Yeah.
So, and I know Chamber of Commerce, that's a new training, a lot of the Chamber of Commerce are now sponsoring is active shooter training. So I'm gonna look into that for the community, definitely. So, yes,
I have a question, this is off topic, but I feel it's kind of how we led up to this recall election this point.
yeah,
And we're newer in St. Francis, so we're just trying to figure out what's going on here in the climate. And honestly, why was the whole, the business that was taking over for the black beer soda,
yeah.
why was that so contentious? Or is that how things happen here? Why did it have to turn into this mess? you know?
I guess what happened on that, it all of a sudden got contentious at the public hearing and kind of snuck up on me as mayor. I was talking to some of the immediate next door neighbors when the public hearing came in, because in order to put a automotive place in the old Black Bear, they need a special use zoning, which is a special process, which takes a lot of steps. It's a new zoning. In other words, it's a new zoning to allow them.
Wasn't there automotive in there before?
Yes, but Joy, the interesting thing about it is that was a special use permit, and it doesn't travel. Once it's done, it's done. So the zoning wasn't compatible with that use. So we had to go to planning commission, and then do a staff recommendation, and then have the council vote on it, and then do a public hearing. Well, I was getting feedback from some of the next door neighbors prior to the public hearing, because there was a big span between plan commission and public hearing. Plan commission talked about it in August. The public hearing wasn't until October. And the plan commission said, you know, we think we can have a better use for that property. It's behind our park, and we just put $300,000 into our park in the last 5 years. So they said, with that being said, in our comprehensive plan, let's think about this a little more before we put a long-term auto place into it. So the plan commission made a recommendation not to allow it. So when it came to the council public hearing, all these people came from everywhere, clients of this auto place. Many of them because I know people who live in St. Francis generally, many of them, I'm like, I don't think they live in St. Francis. A lot of them who didn't live in St. Francis, I think clients, they came and they told the council, you need to be pro-business, you need to let them in. And it was a very boisterous meeting. People were standing up, they were talking out of turn. It got to be very, very unmanageable. I was saying, please, please, everyone, quiet, quiet. You know, and it just became so unmanageable. And the council ended up calling for a vote. I tried to explain the plan commission's rationale. It was so loud and boisterous in there that they drowned me out. And I couldn't explain the plan commission's rationale for the final vote. And then before I knew it, the council voted for it. And it was in. I think, you know, and so, you know, it was a meeting we should always be able to keep control. I take personal responsibility. I should have been able to keep control, but later I find out that there's not a lot you can do when people are standing up and they're boisterous and they're not listening. The mayor of Packard Ave told me I would have pushed the button and had the police department come. He said, that's what I would have done, because I asked him about it. I have a button, emergency button, but I had the police chief was sitting right there.
So I understand that the planning commission makes their recommendation, and then the council votes, and if the council is tied, then you would be the one to break the tie. Okay.
And I have broken the tie on special zoning before.
Okay. And so there's an automotive place that actually is kind of across the street from us now that.
On KK?
No. Pennsylvania, that's kind of a nuisance sometimes.
Oh, wait, did they allow that? Wait,
I don't know.
They don't have a permit. They don't have occupancy there yet.
Things in general, you know, but is it because of like waste or noise or?
Well, automotive places, it's because of the nature of their business with the oils and that they're not usually considered, they're always really considered kind of a special use with noise, and it just protects cities. All cities do it. It's not just a St. Francis thing. Let me give you another example. Special use will always be for like a doggy daycare. Why do you think special use will always be for doggy daycare? Because of the dogs going to the bathroom outside and the noise, possibly. So anything to do with noise, potential mess. And the other thing about a car place too is we have all these problems with people parking the cars outside all the time. You know, our zoning says, no, you can't park all those cars unless they're waiting to be picked up. Well, for some reason, all of a sudden 20 cars are waiting to be picked up for 3 months. And then we have to cite them, and then this, and then that, and then goes to court, and then, you know, it's very tenuous, it's a very long, involved process. So in this case, you know, I was definitely behind the plan commission, and I was the next door neighbors. I had 3 specific abutting neighbors call me that were concerned about it, and we were getting taxes on the property, no matter if there's an auto place in there or not. I would never rob the city of taxes, but we were getting taxes. We went vacant, we were getting taxes. So I'm like, what's the plus side? When the neighbors are telling me as the mayor, please mayor, we had an auto place there. Can I please go without one now? I'd appreciate it. And there's our park. So I'm like, I'm gonna go with the neighbors. I'm the mayor, you know? So it made sense to me. We were already getting taxes. There was nothing we're getting more out of it. I didn't have people knocking on my door. We need more auto places, mayor. Give us some more auto places. I don't have people pounding my door down for auto places, so I just gotta be honest, you know? So, but if it was a business where, you know, there was a, you know, excitement for this business in the community, something we needed to serve the public, you know, obviously I think the plan commission would have taken that into serious consideration, you know. So, we do have a plan commissioner here. I should put him on the spot. What? You can't? I can't? Darren, you want to be on the spot on that one?
On the FM model?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and I can speak for at least majority of us, you know, Ken Tutai voted against it as the group, and he has his reasons too. We've had a long talk. But the main reason, as the mayor alluded to, was it's a property next to a park that we spend a lot of money on, and there's a lot of opportunity in this city. It's just, I know, time. And a lot of people want to see stuff done now, and there's a lot of us too that would love to see something now, but are also open for the future. So we had nothing, and I can vouch for a lot of people on the council, that none of us, even the mayor, as pointed out, are against business in the city of St. Francis. There's a zoning code for a reason. And the zoning code is to help drive, or to help to control what particular uses are allowed in certain areas. And for this instance, being a special use, it was under review. And we just felt that even though that building had a history of an auto dealership, or auto repair shop, excuse me, being in there years ago, that times have changed. We've invested a lot in the park. And what better than to have a use that could go into park that can not only be of value to them, but also add value to the park. And there was ideas that were kicked around in our planning commission meeting, from a little mixed use development where there's a little shop downstairs, a parking garage could be in Mayoral, and then maybe there's a couple levels of residential, condos, apartments, who knows what. But that the backyard could be an extension to the park, and the park could be an extension to the backyard of that property. And then there was also concerns about seeing car parts, tires, too many cars parking all over the place. That, is that really want to see while you're up on the park, having your kids play on the swing sets? So when we look at properties, we look at properties not only for what they're going to be, we also look at how they affect those around, and how those around are either improves their investment or hurts their investment, as well as big picture, how does it help the city as a whole? And there's a lot of areas in the city with a use that allows that type of use, FM auto, in other areas. And it was unfortunate it had to be that location. We'd love to have them in the city, don't get me wrong. I'd love to have another auto shop as another option, but that location right next to our park, that park is one of our jewels of our city, not only for the residents, but also our future family expansion.
right? I mean,
Hey, can I ask real quick before we go
Yes.
further? What was, do you remember what the vote was on?
Planning Commission?
Yeah, how did the vote come out? Do you
Planning Commission was all nays and 1 yay, and the 1 yay was Ken Tutai.
Okay, I
We
vaguely
give up.
remember hearing.
Our planning commission's is with the mayor, and there's aldermen, and then there's.
And residents, yeah.
Yeah, yep.
The planning commission still is just kind of like an advisory committee that you don't have any real say in anything, you can just make suggestions based on research, or?
Yeah, so we're correct. We're a lot of our votes going back are advisory recommendations, and then the common council has to take those in consideration for the final approval. Common council is the final say, and as of late, we've had a few recommendations go completely 0 to 6 against our committee, for example. So I think there's a little disconnect right now on that, and it's something that we would like to work out. But we have a change of arms here coming up here with government, and there's been a lot of talk with us, and the planning commission, for example, is even getting in connection with the
economic development.
committee and the community development authority, and getting an idea of make sure we're all on the same page, and then bringing that up through the common council to make sure they understand what we're looking for, what we're thinking about, how we're tackling the future, and then how that relates to how they're viewing any projects that may come through them in the future.
Do all projects have to go before the planning commission?
Well, I mean, if it's just like you're building a new house, we don't get to see, but if it gets to it gets to multifamily or big commercial or larger projects.
Okay, or say like the garage in KK that's no longer there, that's been sold, but it's just been sitting there empty.
That's going through the plan commission, yes.
We just actually, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so something
Yeah.
I can understand what's.
Yeah, no problem.
Good
And we'd love to
questions.
have anyone come to the planning commission meetings, and speak, a piece about what's being proposed, because, we have all our thoughts, and we'll collaborate, but we'd love anyone's input going forward as well, because we'd love to hear your guys' vision. I mean, let's be honest, we're just committees that have a seat at the table to represent those that be, but your guys' voice is the power, and your guys' voice, means more than anything, so we're all ears. Yes, ma'am.
Just out of clear blue, they're gonna ask people to put down a big list of what you'd like to see in the city.
Sure.
I mean, which could be stupid or, but if you had what people would like to see go up or built in the city or I don't know, for everything, for anything, a million things, and if you could just something to look at. And, I don't know, because we see all these properties that aren't selling.
Sure.
Different parts of St. Francis.
Turning it over to Darren.
You bring up an interesting point, if I might answer. It's interesting. We have our own little problem here, and we're our own little city. But be in mind, we're 2.25 square miles. So everything we have is within reach, right? We got grocery stores up on Layton. We got a couple more down on Holt. We got shops in Bayview. We got some stuff in Petty. We can literally go to all of our neighbors and be able to fulfill our needs because the amenities are there.
But Petty is without a grocery store.
Well, now they are, so that's a good, okay, that's unfortunate for them, but a good thing for us because now that traffic starts to come this way. It comes on Layton. But what do you do with what we have available here? And really, we are kind of in an interesting foothold of opportunity. We have a lot of opportunity here. It's just finding that right piece to make it happen. And we actually had a great meeting with the Economic Development Committee and the Community Development Authority, and the presenter there, he was a developer, and my background is a developer and architect as well. And he talked about having a special project, a special element that could create synergy in the city and would draw people. A lot of these other areas have these amazing retail developments, and everyone goes there. And now people are building houses around it, and people are going there. You got Foxconn, and people are now going to be building on it. There's already properties that have been cornfields for years that are now being scrounged up for ridiculous prices, where people are going to develop retail because they know that people are going to come because they need a place to eat and shop because they're going to be working at Foxconn, they're going to be moving there, so he knows them and he support it. So, what we need to do is help further improve our residential value, our demographic value, and then the businesses will come, because the businesses, when they want to start looking for where they want to be, is they look at the demographics, they look at the population, they look at access. We have some great thoroughfares that come through the city, and we have some great neighborhoods, but we also have a lot of holes that still need to be filled, and we even have some unfortunate dilapidated houses that we need to look at and address. That just takes time, and it just doesn't turn around today, it doesn't turn around tomorrow. But it will come. I mean, look what the Third Ward was 15 years ago. I mean, I remember driving there, and I was at lock my doors and keep my head back, Now, and then look what the Fifth Ward was. Now look what the Third Ward is now. Now look at what the Fifth Ward is. The Third Ward is spilled into the Fifth Ward, and it's coming. And Bayview is doing the same thing. It's spilling this way. So it's only a matter of time. Only a matter of time.
Does Mandel still own their
Yes. Yeah.
So they pay taxes?
They pay taxes and, not making much revenue on it.
So, I want to take the opportunity to thank Darren. Darren's on our plant commission, and it brings in an interesting point of information I could present to everyone, is that we have Darren, and we have some other enthusiastic members of the community who are willing to put their time, effort, and expertise into marketing for business for our city. And I was able to meet these folks and engage them as volunteers in our Economic Development Committee and on our Plan Commission. And this year, when the council put their goals together, we actually identified that the Economic Development Committee would help us with marketing for business, retention, and expansion. So this is a first ever. We've actually said to this committee, this is your new role. You're going to be doing this. And best yet, we're not hiring a marketing firm. These are volunteers. So I'm really excited about that. I'm happy that they accepted the challenge when I was able to talk with them and ask them to sign on. So I'm very excited about our opportunity for marketing in the business area in this coming year. So I want to get to these other questions quickly. Prior to the last mayoral election, I met with Ken Tutai, our current candidate. I asked him what he would do as an elected alderman if he runs into difficulty with the mayor. His answer is that he would be professional and therefore not have issues with her. Does anyone know how or why the relationship between the two went off the rails? I asked what happened between Ken and the mayor. He said he attacked my military service. I asked Ken to explain. Is this why the relationship with the mayor and the Alderman Tutai went off the rails? Also, if not, what is your response to Alderman Tutai and others saying that you attacked his military service? What is your side of the story? Well, simply put, he had sent an email to the council that said, I will be gone for 3 months. It was a very simple email, one line. And so I called him up, I said, Ken, can we meet and talk about this a little bit? And he said, okay, sure, let's meet. So we met in my office. And I said, hey, I got an idea. We have all this development agenda items for the Bear development coming up. And it's really important. You're the only alderman on the Plan Commission. And there's going to be a lot of important discussion. And you're the only alderman that will be able to represent the council on the Plan Commission. How about if we ask Steve Wadwa to sit in for you while you're gone on deployment? He's like, oh, well, that doesn't sound like such a bad idea. I said he could also help in Finance Committee, because if we don't have a quorum for Finance Committee, how are we going to get anything done? There's only 3 members of the Finance Committee, and if he's gone, we wouldn't have a quorum. So I said, let's think about having Steve fill in for you while you're gone, like a replacement while you're gone. So then that night, we kind of shook hands. He said goodbye. He said, okay, you talk to Steve, Mayor, and let me know what Steve says. I happened to go to a Memorial Committee meeting that very night, Steve Otto was on the Memorial Committee. So I said, hey Steve, we're sitting down after Memorial Committee, just like this. Hey Steve, I got this idea. How about if we fill in for Ken while he's gone? Then he doesn't have to worry about it. He can go on his deployment. He doesn't have to worry about being in contact. Steve's like, okay, if that's what Ken wants, I'll do it. All of a sudden, we get to the council meeting where we were going to bring it up. I didn't make any particular recommendation about it. I didn't make any action. I didn't do anything. I left it all up to him. He comes to the council meeting, he says, you are illegal and unpatriotically asking me to be stripped of my duties. I'm like, what? I'm like, I didn't say anything like that. I didn't do anything like that. Well, of course, we're in a meeting alone. So I guess it's his word against mine. But Steve Wadwa has been asked by citizens, did the mayor ask you to temporarily replace him 2 times in these committees? And he says, yes, she asked me to temporarily replace. So he keeps with this scenario, he keeps announcing this scenario. I later checked with the official organization that handles relationships between employers and National Guard people, which is called ESGR. I called ESGR. ESGR told me, elected officials, that's not a job classification we work with. Is that a job? I'm like, no, it's not really a job. So even ESGR, the official organization that I was referred to by a former retired Guard person, did not deal with this. So I went back to Ken and I said, hey, listen, what are we doing about this? He sent me an email. Okay, I'm good, Mayor. I'm good with this. I understand. I'm going to go on my deployment. I'm going to call in for the meetings. Okay, I said, we're good. We're good, right? All of a sudden, the recall thing comes up, and this is an issue again. I'm like, what? So I have an email that says, we're good. So I bring it up at a council meeting. I said, citizens are asking me about this, Ken. What's going on? I didn't do anything illegal. And if I did, well then, make a claim that I did something illegal. Get me a letter and tell me I did something illegal. Because if you have that, then do it. He hasn't done it. All I can say is that if I've done something illegal, you better put it in writing and deliver it to me that I did something illegal. Because I did not. I came up with an idea to make sure we had quorums for meetings, as the mayor should, I believe. So that's that story, and that's exactly my perspective on the whole thing. I have an email that I just found a couple weeks ago that says, yeah, we're good, Mayor, we're good. I'm going on my deployment, everything's good. I'm like, okay, everything's good. So anyway, next question. Oh boy, this is the glasses question. So, a second reason for the recall is behavior unbecoming of an elected official. Your opponent has said he will restore integrity and true leadership to the office of mayor. Can you comment on whether you think there's an integrity or leadership problem? If the problem is a matter of perception, what will you do to change perception? Well, obviously, I have a background in government. I understand government. I've operated with integrity. There are no wrongdoings, no illegalities, no irregularities that are on my record as your mayor. I have great integrity. I stand by my word. I get things accomplished. I stand up for citizens. I ask tough questions of the staff. I ask tough questions of the staff. I ask tough questions of the staff. Can I tell you how they always like my tough questions? Sometimes they don't like them. But I need these answers. When citizens ask me a question, I need to get an answer. And we cannot, over and over again, not respond to citizens' needs. We have to come up with a plan. Either we're not responding at all, or we're going to do something, such as the quiet zone. We are finally progressing with the quiet zone. However, I became mayor. I thought we were progressing. apparently we went on hold. Then we had to start it up again. Then we had, you know, if someone doesn't keep asking the questions every year, it might be on hold indefinitely.
What's the quiet zone?
The quiet zone is where we're trying to get the train, there's a program in place with the railways where you can actually have them not lay on the horn if you meet the requirements that are needed for a quiet zone. But it's a long process, it's an involved process, it's not an easy process. But if we stop it, how are we ever going to get there? So I've just been a proponent of let's